Hello, my kitchenettes, and welcome to David's Kitchen. Today is Mother's Day weekend, and I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic. I've lost my mother a couple of years ago. I think back and think, damn, I wish I had the opportunity to have made some of these actual videos with her. She would have just loved it, and she would have been a hoot. But in her memory, I am making one of the cakes that I remember as a child that she made all the time. It's her sour cream coffee cake. It's a relatively easy cake to make. And I remember the torture that used to happen when I came home from school and we would smell the wonderful scent of the cinnamon of this cake. And then she'd say, you can't eat any of it. I made it for the bake sale or something like that. And I always used to think in the back of my mind as a kid, oh, well, you know, I'm going to go to the bake sale and buy the cake my mom made. So I'm going to make it today, and it's pretty easy. So I'm going to show you how it's done. Number one, we're going to start with a cup of granulated sugar. And to that, we're going to add just a tiny quarter teaspoon of salt. We have 1 stick of butter, 2 eggs, a cup of sour cream, a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of baking soda, and 2 cups of flour. And that's actually just going to be for the cake. Then over here, I have another ½ a cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and some crushed up pecans. The pan that we're going to use for this sour cream coffee cake is a very traditional tube cake pan. It's the one where the top, where the inside comes out. You notice I put some parchment paper in there. My mom used to use wax paper, and I greased it up really good. The biggest nightmare of making one of these cakes is that it sticks when you try to flip it out and it breaks, and then the family gets to eat it. So maybe it's not so bad. It's interesting because these cake pans were around forever. My mom was making this type of a pound cake or coffee cake way before I remember the commercials for bundt cakes, and the bundt pans came out. They came in a box and you just did it together. So this is a throwback to the oldies, and I hope you enjoy watching me make this nostalgic sour cream coffee cake. The first thing we're going to do is cream the butter with our sugar, our cup of sugar. Also of special note, this is the very first time I'm using the new tangerine orange KitchenAid. I really love the way it looks in the kitchen. Steve's architectural thoughts of the color was spot on in terms of going with a color that both contrasts and complements with the blue of our kitchen. So I'm happy to be using it. To the sugar and butter, we're going to add the eggs one at a time until they're incorporated. This is all incorporated now. You have a nice thick batter. I was very tempted to go ahead and gay it up a little bit with some of my additional flavorings, maybe some lemon rind or my Fiori di Sicilia. But given that it's Mother's Day, I wanted to be nostalgic, and so I'm making this just the way my mother always made it, and it'll actually give me the flavor that I remember as a kid. I'm just going to go ahead and put half the batter in the bottom of this tube pan, and then we will add a layer of cinnamon sugar. As you can see, I leveled out about half the batter, and now I'm just going to sprinkle a very little bit of the cinnamon sugar. Once again, this is nothing fancy, just traditional sugar and cinnamon, the kind that you put on buttered toast when you were a kid. And we'll also just sprinkle in a cup of the pecans. Once again, you could use walnuts or anything else. But as you can see, there's not a ton in there, just a little bit. I'm going to add the second layer of our batter. All the batter is in, and I put the final topping of the cinnamon sugar and pecans. We're now going to go ahead and put this into the oven. It says 350 for an hour. To be honest with you, I haven't made this cake in a long time, so I'm just going to be on the safe side and set the timer for 45 minutes. And we'll come back and take a look at it and see how it's done. Wow, I have to say the kitchen smells great. Oh, what's that sound? My favorite sound. Let's go see what the cake looks like. Go ahead and shut the timer. This one I'm going to use the toothpick test. Oh wow, it looks great. Oh yes, this is done. I'm going to take it out. And I'm going to go ahead and put it here on my raised cooling rack. We'll let it cool for a good solid 15 minutes. And then we will flip it out and hopefully it doesn't break. Now that we've cooled the cake for 15 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and invert it out of this pan. So the pan has cooled down considerably. And the nice part is that, as you can see, voila, the cake comes right out of the tube pan. Now we have to invert it. This is always the scary part, but I'm gonna show you a little secret. Especially when you have a cake that has like a lot of streusel topping on it, or this one, the pecans are a little bit loose. Take a piece of foil, fold it into a square, and cut off a little angled corner. And that will give you your little hole to look through. So what we're gonna do is just put this hole down here, kind of gently turn it over the cake. Now we're going to put the cake on here. Well, the bottom is a little hot. I'm gonna get a dish towel. All right, so put this one on top. 1, 2, 3. Invert over. Perfect. I got my take off your wrapper. And now we have to invert it one more time so it cools right side up. Most of the streusel stayed intact, as you can see, and it's ready to cool for a couple of hours. Actually, we won't be eating this until tomorrow, so we'll have to spend the evening smelling this wonderful cinnamon on this cake, and we'll enjoy it tomorrow. Well, good morning, my Kitchenettes, and happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Well, it is now Sunday morning, Mother's Day, and it's time to taste our cake. It smells delicious. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a slice of it out here. And we'll pull this up. Wow, look at that. It just looks exactly like I remember. And I will have a little taste of this and see. Absolutely delicious. For many of us, we're not together with our moms on Mother's Day, being that they're not with us any longer, or due to the pandemic, you're not able to get together. So do things that bring back wonderful memories for you. Maybe make something that will jog a precious moment. Or when you talk to your mom, let them know about the things that you remember and enjoy, and that'll certainly put a smile on their face. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and for God's sakes, wash your hands. Ciao. Sour cream. Now we're going to put the cake on here. Well, the bottom is a little hot. I'm going to get a dish towel. All right, so this is on the center of the pan. Going to grab the bottom of the cake and invert this whole thing over. 1, 2, and what? Fail. Let's try that again.